All right, okay. We're all set. All right, so, just to give you all an update on the retail coach, I know that I've talked about it, a few times this year, just with that regional recruitment project that we've been doing. So we've been working closely with them, and we meet with the retail coach once every 2 weeks right now, just to get and give updates and, see how things are going. So currently, we've reached out to around 150 regional businesses, regarding expansion, since we've started that project this year. We've heard back from probably around 2 to 3 dozen over the last few months of people that are interested in looking into Navasota, and so from those, we've been talking back and forth, and there's a few of them that we've been in more frequent contact with. So we're still working on that and trying to find some locations for business prospects here in Navasota. So I just wanted to let you know how that was going. And then we're also going to start going back and reaching out to some of those businesses out of that list of 150, some of them that just haven't responded at all, just to kind of nudge them and reach out again, follow up, now that it's later in the year, just because I know that earlier in the year it might have been a hard time with COVID and after the holidays. So, and then the retail coach is also continuing to work on national prospects and retailers for us, and so they're keeping us updated on that end and what we can do, and there have been a few that we've met with and talked to, nothing definitive yet, but there's a lot of stuff in the works, so it's really exciting. And so in the packet, I've included 2 different cell phone analyses, because this is another service that the retail coach provides, just to give us information. We pulled one of them from the Margarita Walk, which was on June 19th, just to see how many people came to that, where it drew people in from. And so over the full day from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., there's a typo there. There are around 2,400 people that came to Navasota, just in the downtown district.
Wow.
And so you can see on there the city and state zip code percentage of customers of where people came from, so quite a wide range. Interesting that there are some from Pennsylvania, Oklahoma, and Florida. I'm not 100% sure on that. It could be that people haven't switched over their phone number if they've moved here, because it is collecting from cell phone data, but still gives a pretty good estimate of where people are coming from, like seeing College Station, Anderson.
It could even be somebody that lives here now.
Yeah.
Came from that place.
Yeah, or people that are visiting in Texas and saw something was going on. So, and then it gives a map too, and showing like the number of visitors from each location. So I just thought it was interesting. Also the hourly visit, seeing what times were most popular, and then the length of stay, which shows that the length of stay, average stay was 128 minutes, so a little over 2 hours. So yeah, there's that one.
They can do.
And then we also pulled one from July 2nd, so for the Navasota Freedom Festival. That one, we did the timing from 12 p.m. to 11 p.m. just to see what impact it had on bringing people in earlier in the day to come shopping in the downtown district. So through that time span, we had an estimate of 3,700 visitors. So you can also see where people...
That's when we had the band?
Yeah, the Journey cover band, which we had estimated that there were around 2,000 people, so this is exciting to see. And you can also see on the hourly visits, it shows that the most people were here were around 8 and 9 o'clock in the downtown area, so that was right around the time of the fireworks. And then the average length of stay for this event was 118 minutes, so almost around 2 hours.
Well, the Freedom Festival really was done well as the fireworks.
Thank you. I'll let Madison know.
All we had to do is turn our chairs around.
Yeah.
It was really fun.
Yeah.
The parade was so nice.
Yeah, it was.
So nice.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Nice to see everyone out.
Yeah.
It really was
And
great.
that was one of the things too that we had talked about from now on, kind of doing it as a Friday event, just because it brought out so many people that, might not be able to come do it on the
Yeah.
4th in that morning, and that
I
was
was surprised that many people, I mean, it was really nice.
And I think the timing was nice too, just
Mhm.
because when we had started the event last year, it was all day long, and it was hard to keep people entertained, and throughout the day, people would come and go, but this is just the convenience of having the parade, having it end right here,
Mhm.
immediately after pretty much music starts, you have the vendors, kids' activities, and then right when the band ended, being able to flip your chairs and watch
Yeah.
the fireworks. It was,
Mhm.
the timing worked out great with all of that.
Could you see the fireworks from right here?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because we went on Washington Avenue
Yeah.
and watched
Yeah.
it, you know.
Yeah, you could see them from here. We were all sitting like right, or I was sitting
And they
right
were
over
well-
there, and it was nice.
Yeah, they were well done.
Mhm.
And this year we went a little bit higher with the fireworks too, just to make sure that people
Yeah.
around town could see, but last year they were visible from
You
downtown.
know, last year, I live pretty close to Brewley, and we kind of, well, watched it kind of where the administration building is.
Mhm.
You can barely see, because Brewley's low, they were just barely getting the street level. So it was nice to get them a little higher.
Yeah, they did a really good job on that.
I'll let Madison know, she was,
And it's good to see too, that more than half of the attendance is local.
Yes, that's nice.
In fact, I asked that night, and I was like, I told her, were those fireworks sponsored by somebody, or is that hot money? Who?
They were sponsored.
they were
Oh,
sponsored,
they were
yeah,
sponsored?
Yeah.
they were
Who
sponsored.
did sponsor them?
Well, there was Republic Waste, UP,
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head who it was. I think there were about like 5 or 6 sponsors that helped out with the whole event.
Will they be thanked in the paper, or is that
Yeah,
already been
they
done?
were thanked in the paper and the city council meeting.
'Cause I know that's not cheap. You know,
Yeah.
no.
no, they were they had banners in front of the stage,
Did,
Mhm.
sponsored.
I was there, I didn't pay any attention, I don't guess.
We
Well, I didn't know they-
announced them
I
to,
guess I didn't know they did the fireworks, I thought they were just sponsoring.
well, that money probably kinda goes for everything, you know?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All of their expenses.
Good.
Yep, so those are some cool reports that I thought I'd share, just like I said, another resource that the retail coach provides, and that also helps with, in Madison's case too, with marketing for future events, like where are people coming from? Kind of where do you want to bring people from for outreach efforts, so I thought
Yeah,
that's
sure
actually
does.
a good tool. And so then also along with the retail coach, this is kind of like leading up to the presentation we're about to have too. They've been helping us with another industry that's considering Navasota, for their business expansion, and this is, it's not necessarily retail, but it's, an industry that would bring probably around 100 new jobs. So that's something that we've been, working really closely with on them for that project. And so, one of the things that the business has expressed is once they start looking for sites specifically, they're gonna be wanting to learn more about our local talent base and workforce, because they're considering us in one other location right now. So, that's gonna be some information that we're gonna be wanting to have easy access to, and then also to, like possibly doing workforce partnerships to maybe help with that recruitment because of how many jobs it'll bring. And just like I said too, since we are probably competing with another
I also
location.
talked to Workforce Solutions
Okay,
on their training side, to see if there's, depending on what the industry or business is, they may be able to work something through Glenn, whether it might be, not be a, where they could gain some experience
okay.
or get some education on, depending on what it is.
And do you have a contact for them at,
Fonda.
what was that?
Fonda.
Bonda, okay. And then I was also thinking of, reaching out to Navasota ISD, just with all of their CTE programs that they have, that might be some.
They've expanded that a lot, haven't they?
Yeah, I think the mechanics is the only thing that's not really on mine yet, but it'll probably be next semester.
Yeah, so I think either way, that'd be, at some point, that'd be a good opportunity to work with Navasota ISD for helping with our local businesses and retaining some of those graduates and kind of funneling them into different, local industries. But, so that's what I have right now, just updates on the retail coach. Do you have any questions on any of that information or those reports?
All right, if not, then I guess next item is the presentation.
All right, Brian, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. So this is Brian Beatty. He's with GIS Planning, and so like I told y'all last month, Johnny and I had met with him to discuss the Zoom Prospector tool and all of the benefits that it can have for our community, both for the Navasota EDC and also for Grimes County in general. So, Brian, I'll leave it up to you.
Okay, if you can let me share my screen, I'll show you Zoom Prospector.
All right, one second. Okay, are you able to now?
Yes, let me start sharing, and I'll minimize this. Hopefully you all see a map.
Yes.
Awesome. First of all, thank you all for inviting me to your meeting today. I am Brian Beatty. I work for a company called GIS Planning. We have been in business since the late 1990s and solely focused on helping folks like yourself attract new businesses to your community and also with business expansion retention efforts. I always show this map for my demos because that shows our clients. Every G is a client, and you notice we're now all around the world, but we have quite a few clients within the state of Texas, and many of them very small communities. I was going to show you Mexia. So this is the Mexia EDC website, and by the way, if I'm ever talking about something that you're not seeing, please stop me and tell me. And they've actually embedded our software in a couple different places. So but I'm just going to focus on the main application. And obviously they are also focused on retail, although they also are working to attract logistics as well. You notice this is their website, and here embedded within this web page is Zoom Prospector. So everything here is Zoom Prospector. Here's a map on the right. We can look for properties, simply just kind of scroll through what we've got here. We can also come up here and search. If you want to include the county, we could have a county option here. We could also focus only on buildings or sites, focus on a square footage or acreage, focus on something for sale or for lease, and then you've got these property types, and you can change these to fit your needs. And then under all filters, you can put anything that you want, whether it's rail access. If you have an opportunity zone, you could put that in here. Basically anything that you feel will help you market that property. And you notice these little banners that say featured, so there are ways that you can kind of bump certain properties up and get more attention for them. This little banner could say new or updated or, of course, featured. I'm just going to focus here on the industrial park. So the actual property information does come either from the EDC people themselves. They can give logins to local brokers to put this information in the Zoom Prospector. And if you have a large number of properties and sites available, then we recommend you look at a multi-listing service that can basically do that for you. In Mexia, Joanna puts the properties in herself, and it's actually a very easy process to do so. So she's got these pictures in here. You could also embed a video in here. There could be an attachment as a PDF file. And you notice that right away I can simply send this to you as a PDF document. I could physically print it and mail it to you. I can even email it to you or push it out on my social media feeds. And this is true of everything that I'm going to show you today. So please keep that in mind. The minute that I put a street address in, we automatically integrate with Google Street View, Google Maps, and then this little 360 virtual tour. And you should now see, you should now be in outer space. And we're zooming out from my last demo, and we're going to zoom into this site in Mexia. And now we're floating over this tract of land. We could also, look at just the map view here on the right. the Google Street View, and then the 3D rotation as well. And then if I want to expand the map, I can do so here. And our real value add lies in all these tabs that I'm rolling across at the top of the screen with my mouse. So we provide and update a lot of information for our clients. So here's an infographic profile of the city of Mexia. You notice I could look at the county profile as well. And we're providing the infographics as well as the information behind them. So here I'm looking at how age distribution's been changing for the last few years. And then here's population growth. Educational attainment. So if I've never heard of this town, I can get a good feel for the basics. If I'm a retailer or just a site selector and I've got a checklist, I can maybe check some things off. Maybe I only want to talk to a community where at least 5% of the population has a bachelor's degree, so I can check that off immediately. Maybe it's population growth or a certain number of people in an age group or overall population. So all that basic information we can get right here. Here's income and spending. Obviously, that's also a key for retailers. Renters versus owners, and then transportation. But if I want to get into the real nitty-gritty, that's where these tabs would help me. So here's occupation data, and you notice that we're looking at a 10-mile radius. If you want a different radius, we can certainly do that. And I can take this circle with my mouse and change it. I'll change it out to 20 miles. And when I let go, the information here changes to reflect a 20-mile radius. And I can also click on a button that changes that to a drive time radius. And so we'll have a 20-minute radius. Takes a few seconds to process. And there you go, following 240, 2838, and 84 here, and 14. What we're looking at here is wages on an annual basis, hourly basis, or I could change it to simple jobs by occupation, or I can change it to the NAICS code, which is just the federal government category for this. But if you're focused on retail, these two tabs, maybe three, demographics, labor force, and consumer spending will be key for you. So we buy this data from a provider. They update us twice per year. The next update actually should literally be any day now. So when it says 2020, we're looking at December of 2020. And you notice we can project out 5 years. So when this rolls over, it'll be 2021 and 2026. Here I'm looking at age distribution as a table, but I can change this, and that really makes things leap out at you. So even though the biggest population category is 65 and older, the next biggest one is actually teenagers. So if I then want to find out where are teenagers living, we can actually do a heat map, and we're probably at the county level, but we can go down to the zip code level and all the way down to the census block group level. And here you can see that the teenagers are living at this, the southwest part of town. And I can even click on the census block group, and it tells me exactly how many we're estimating live in that part of town. And that's true of everything. I'll just roll down so that you can see what we've got here. But, it's a total demographic profile. Household income distribution is another big category. So if I want to find out where are those people making $100K and over, and you'll very often see this, right? There's an overlap where people have families. They also tend to make a lot of money or more money than average. And then if I look under educational attainment, I'm going to take a wild guess, and I'm right, that also overlaps. So if you have a bachelor's degree, you're more likely to have a family and be making over $100K per year. Now that's interesting. People with a grad degree are clustered up here. Not that many of them, but a few. And then we have a size of household here too. And then under labor force, I'll just scroll through this. But again, everything I showed with the occupation data applies with demographics, labor force here, and consumer spending. I can do a 10-mile radius. I can change that on the fly with my mouse. I can also change that to a drive time radius by clicking on a button. And again, you've got different ways to look at this data, tabular, graphically, or you can heat map out something that you're particularly interested in. And I'll just scroll down. Here we've got businesses by establishment type and NAICS code. I'll go down. That's employees by occupation. employees by major sick, and establishment type, and then, I don't know why we're putting it at the bottom, but employees by NAICS code. So if you want to know where are people engaged in different categories, and again, this is just a drive time radius of 9 minutes, so it's not going to pick up a lot. But there seems to be a lot of people employed, relatively speaking, in vehicle and parts dealers. And then probably what you're most interested in is the consumer spending. So again, this is updated twice per year. Our provider, they take American census and survey data, and then they run their own algorithms against those data sets to, take into account migrations and births and deaths and the like. And again, you're spending on clothes, and we find here that spending on women's apparel is the single biggest category, so we can find out where is that spending taking place. And we're looking at a 10-mile radius again. And as I zoom in, I have a feeling, that it's going to, there's a big congruence here. A lot of factors coming into play, but you kind of know the profile of the people who live in this part of town that maybe you are targeting as a retailer. And then here's spending on food away from home, and yet again, very, very consistent in this case. Not always the case, but sometimes it is. And then my favorite, this business data, we buy this from a separate provider. We can map out every business in town. We can map out every business around this property. The default, again, is 1 mile that we can change. And our provider gives us real-time updates. So I click on a dot, and I'm finding out this is Frankie's Pasta and Pizza, and I get an estimate of their sales and their head count. And in this case, I even got their website. It does pick up things like schools, churches, and nonprofits, by the way. So there's the Jehovah's Witness in Mexia. And then I can simply just keep hunting and pecking like so. But if I want to go over here on the left, I can be more systematic. I can look by head count, by revenue, plug in a NAICS code. These clusters, you should categorize or customize these because I'm guessing there probably isn't a lot of aerospace going on in Mexia. But more importantly, I can just click here, and I'm finding out, okay, we got 12 restaurants, and again, it's only 1 mile. So in this case, I'm just going to go out 5 miles and see what we get. Now I got more. I've got 30 restaurants, and you see them here on the left, all lined up. And then here are the estimates for sales and head count here on the right columns here. And if I roll over them on the mouse, they pop up on the map here. So it makes more sense if I scroll in. And so you can do some really cool things because as everything else I'm showing you, I can share this on my social media feeds or email it to you, or again, put it in a PDF format. So I'm going to switch over. Hopefully you now see my LinkedIn feed.
Yeah.
So this is another client, the city of Dallas, and all I did is I wrote this little blurb saying everybody needs housing. Economic developers are trying to attract developers. And then I mapped out the businesses that are engaged in single-family housing development in Dallas. So that's what those dots on the map represent. And then if you click on this link, you'll actually get the full report. In other words, you'll go to the website that looks like this. But it will be the city of Dallas, and it will be mapping out those developers. The cool thing is it's got a pretty good reaction, and it got 231 views, which for me is that's what I want. And I'm trying to attract folks like yourself. So I got someone in San Francisco looking at this. I got 2 people from the governor's office of California, which for me is really good. And then we got some executive directors, some marketing specialists from various parts of the country here. So for me, that's a success. I know there are other people who post stuff that get, multiple thousands of views, but I am not an influencer, or at least not yet. So, and I'll move on to the talent pool report. This is kind of cool too. So this will show the college and the university programs and degrees being issued in the region. So, this is some high-level program. And you notice the region is 50 miles, which again, I can modify, but I don't know why you wouldn't want to get everything you can. So here's where if you're getting inquiries like how many, how many nurses do you have coming out of your program, university and colleges, I can actually come here and I can tell you we had 239 people get a bachelor's degree, from Baylor University, 134 got an associate's from Navarro College, and it just picks up whatever's in the whatever's being offered in the region. So everything from engineering, liberal arts, legal, homeland security, welders, which I know is a very hot topic in general these days. So I can tell you that we had 94 people get associates from Texas State. I will say the bad news for this particular data, we do get it from the federal government, and that does mean it's a little out of date. So it says 2018 there. So I would probably trust the Texas State information. I would call these two community colleges and ask how many people are in the program today. And nurses, I'm pretty confident about nurses. So I guess the way to think about this is showing your potential labor force in the region that you could draw from. Does that make sense? Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. And let me go back to their property report. Under map layers, we've got a whole bunch of, let me change this to an actual map. There we go. We've got a lot of cool stuff, like we can tell you if there is fiber internet in town. There is not, but there is DSL. We have, if you did have an opportunity zone, we can map that out. Looks like there's one down here, but not where our site is. And we've got transportation. So airports, you probably don't have any ports, but we can map all of that out here. So you see the railroad running right through town. I still have that purple is still the opportunity zone. And then there's the Mejia Airport right down there. And where it says local data, we can include anything from your own GIS department or from the county GIS. We actually don't care where it comes from. Let me get rid of all this stuff and then go back and do local data again. So this is just a simple zoning map, but it's very useful for me to say, here is what is zoned for what within the city limits. So, I mean, I knew it was an industrial park, even though it's land right now. So this confirms that it is, it's zoned. So if somebody, for some reason, is saying, oh, this is not zoned for industrial, I can just export the map as a PDF, an image file, or just send them a link and say, yeah, take a look at the map, guy. Here's the zoning and here's the property. But we can include anything that you want. So I'm now in the Cedar Hill, Texas website, and this is still Zoom Prospector. This is a little piece of the software that you can embed on a different web page. And under local data, they've given us all kinds of stuff. So here I can map out their parks and also their trails. And they also gave us K through 12 schools in the community. And now I can do interesting things like take our demographic data and tell you here in Cedar Hill, Texas, are some places where you've got a lot of teenagers living in near their parks and their trails and their K through 12 schools. I could send that, I don't know, to the Bass Pro Shop guy I met at the trade show, or maybe I put it on my Facebook page and I say, hey, you know, if you're living on the West Coast and you have kids and you're worried about quality of life, you might think about Cedar Hill, and here's some things to look at. I also shared another client website. Let me see if I can get to it real quick. Giddings, Texas. They have been active with issuing grants to support their local businesses over the last year, and they gave us a local layer to map those out. So I can actually click on any of these little icons, and it tells me that, oh, here's some Veterans Park. They got $3,000 as a grant. The purpose was community project, and the economic strategy behind that was a business formation strategy. And I could just go through all these, and, you know, here's a fitness center. They got $1,000 to help them with signage, and, you know, it's a growth strategy. So, you know, software can be used for a lot of purposes. I mean, it's sitting on your website 24/7. So if I'm a business person and the offices are closed so I can't call you and get answers to my questions, I've got a place to go and I can probably get the answers myself. You can use this proactively for, as I've shown you, social media marketing, just marketing in general, pulling this down into proposals. And I should show you this. On the back end of Zoom Prospector, we do have a proposal generator. You can use this to pull in, sites and buildings and data and maps from the public website, and then put in something specific to the RFP you're responding to or the proposal you're working on. It could just be a welcome video from the mayor of your town. And then you can simply send this out to someone as a PDF file, or you just send them the link, and maybe you go through these buildings and sites with your prospect and say, does this make sense? No, let's get rid of it and add something closer to this or this. And so it makes it a kind of a living document. And then you could whip out proposals within a few hours, if not sooner, if you've got the content already lined up for you. And then last but not least, backtracking to Giddings, there is kind of a public information aspect to this where you can tell the public what are the projects that the EDC has been working on, what are the events that are going on. You could map those out too. And just basically have a resource for anyone to go whenever they need to get that information. Oh, the one last thing to show you, going back to the Mejia site, is they are a small town in the middle of Texas. If I go here to explore communities, you'll see that they are pretty small. Now, I'm jumping ahead. So they had us create this, a 45-mile radius. So what they're trying to show you is that, yes, we're a very small town. However, we've got this labor shed, this spending shed all around our city that goes out 45 miles. And so that's what they want you to see here. That's why it came up as the 45-mile radius. So we could create a custom region for you like this. And some folks in Texas prefer to just really focus in on their own community, but we could do either. That wasn't there before. Before you had the option. You could look at either the city or the 45-mile radius. So they actually changed this very recently. So there is the town of Mejia, or the city, and then if I change location, I can go back to the 45-mile radius. And everything I've shown you, by the way, is also mobile-friendly. So if you are at a trade show or you're just off-site somewhere and someone's asking you about these, demographics or labor force or a property, you can actually go on your iPhone or your mobile device and just pull this stuff up as well.
So can any of this be shared by anyone or just city employees?
It's public, so anyone. Everything here is public, so I can email this to you right now, or I could put it on my own LinkedIn feed, like I did with the City of Dallas information.
Okay, so if someone has a business in town and they wanted to share something, they just click on it and share it on their Facebook or email it to someone or text it.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
And then it can also be used for, if business prospects are looking at multiple sites. If they have a list of 3 or 4, I believe that they can check all 3, and if they want to send it to maybe their VP or their whoever within their company, then they can share it. And Brian, I believe we receive that data too of who's sharing, correct?
Exactly. So yeah, and we do that a couple ways. So number one, and actually, let me point out that this I didn't show this, but this little heart here. For each of these properties, I can actually save properties into an online folder. And so if you are working on both retail and, manufacturing projects, you can create folders and save these properties into the appropriate folder, and it'll be waiting for you. As long as you don't close out or clear your browser cache, then you will not have, you will have it waiting for you here. So, you could put multiple properties in here and they'll be saved for you. You can also, as Tanya mentioned, email them to colleagues, to site selectors, to retailers you're talking to. And on the back end of our system, we do have Google Analytics and our own analytics. So, you'll kind of know the raw numbers, how many people come to the website, what are the top properties that they keep coming back and looking at. If they realize or discover that they can share this, if I can email this to you, Joanna at Mejia gets an email with my email address and your email address. So she's aware of that somebody shared a property directly that way. And then we have a third-party vendor that we partner with, and they're called Lead Forensics. And what they do is a reverse IP lookup, and all that means is they could tell you what companies are on your website. So if you actually, I just talked to an existing client yesterday, and she was telling me it's really cool to see a report saying, you know, XYZ company is looking at a property, and then the next week we've got a project with them. So you know, another way to use this is if you go to a trade show and you meet all these people, you can come back with a big stack of business cards. Well, who do you follow up with first? If you run a lead forensics report, maybe you find that 10 of the companies you met with are active and they pull down a labor force report or a demographics report, or they looked at a property. So now you know who to follow up with immediately because they've qualified themselves. And of course, you know, if you're doing a social media campaign, you want to put a call back to your website, and then you can track if traffic increases after you do your social media campaign.
So do your images come just from Google, or do they get downloaded by the city or realtors, or where do you get them?
Yeah, so here, these pictures come from Joanna. So she took her camera out and got these cool clouds and the pictures. Once you put the street address or just the latitude and longitude in this report, then automatically it connects to Google Earth and Google Maps.
Okay.
So she didn't have to do anything to make this or any of these buttons happen. That just is a factor of you put the street address or the coordinates in. But if you want to put pictures in, either the EDC staff does it or a local broker does it. And if you want to engage a multi-listing service, they can, you know, kind of work with the local brokers to get that in there as well. And by the way, you don't have to just use still photos. You could put like a YouTube video in there. We've got clients who do like interior tours of the property, so you can take your mouse and click room by room and just go through the property that way. So a lot of different options.
And similar to like that one, like standstill map that I made, those were pictures that I had gone and taken. So that'd be probably something that, since we have a smaller area and radius for Navasota, that I would probably go in and do, since we don't have, I was looking at the different like real estate listing sites, and I mean, it just doesn't seem to be worth it to part, when I could go through and do that for the listings.
Or just say, hey, send me some pictures.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions? I'd love to get the feedback from the group, what you think about what you've seen.
Well, I mean, I think it's cool. I think it's cool that you break it down by age and the degree of education and where they live and what part of town. I think that's really neat.
If you get into this program and all that demographic information, you said it's twice a year, is there a fee every year to get that update, or?
So, yeah, I mean, so your relationship with us is, you know, it's an annual subscription. We can bill you annually, we can bill you quarterly, whatever makes sense. What we're doing on the back end, behind the scenes, is we buy data from Applied Geographic Solutions for that demographic data, and then, you know, MC provides the occupation data, so we buy that from them, and then the business data we buy from Data Axle. So, you know, we're taking care of all that on the back end for you. And then, you know, the federal government database stuff, we check them annually, you know, if there's any change in broadband or railroads, but, you know, in general, it tends not to be.
How many clients do you do this for now?
Oh my gosh, I don't have an exact number, but it's got to be closing in on 400 plus. So if I scroll out on this map, you can kind of get a feel for it. By the way, if it's a green icon, that means it's a statewide implementation. So we're now live at the state of Jalisco in Mexico. This should be green, but this is the country of Panama. And then as I scroll in, we're kind of where you'd expect in Texas. By the way, we used to work with the state of Texas, but not currently. I think that's us hoping that we'll get back in there at some point. And the clients range from, you know, statewide utilities. We actually work with Encore Electric in Texas. We've got little towns like Hearn and La Mesa. So kind of runs the gamut.
Are most of them cities and EDCs or EDCs?
In Texas, yeah, it usually is an EDC.
So I guess College Station, that's one of them?
It's actually Brian that we
Brian.
have,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Hearn.
Too smart for them. They don't need them. Just saying. Oh, look at Hearn.
Yeah, that's actually a microsite. So what Mahia did is they just, in Giddings, is they embed our software in their own website and their own web pages. But some of our clients are like, you know what, I don't want to mess with that, and I don't have an IT staff to keep up the website. So for those folks, they can just spend a little extra and they get a microsite like you see there. They give us their logo and, give us the color scheme they want to use and the background pictures, and it just kind of organizes our software like you see here.
That's nice.
They got them a new logo too. It's Crossroads of Texas. They've got the roads crossing like that.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that. Look at her. Go her.
Well, is there anything else that I can show you that you didn't see or that you'd like to see? Questions?
No, I mean, do you have any
Oh, I'll go over that in the next item.
any real life, success stories? Just, from like a Mahia or another city that was able to recruit somebody based on using your information, or?
Yeah, if you go to gisplanning.com, we've got a section here. Well, these are webinars, but we've got case studies here that you can look at. And actually, I'd recommend you reach out to her and you reach out to Bob Farley. He used to be at Grapevine. He just moved over to Hutto, Texas. He's a longtime client. Joanna at Mahia. Tanya Giddings, Texas. She's a fan too. So,
I found out about them through the Texas Economic Development Council's, the TEDC's annual conference last year. So that's when I started looking into it, and Brian and I started talking shortly after that, just kind of figuring out, okay, if this is something that we thought would work in Navasota, and if it's something to bring to you guys.
Yeah, it looks really comprehensive, and it just doesn't, there's not really much you could miss,
A lot of data together.
Yeah.
What's the status of getting all the census data? Is there any clue when that's gonna?
I haven't heard anything.
Sure, they're just gonna use COVID as an excuse to put it off another 10 years, I guess.
I know they did a census, and that American survey, I think that's kind of a rolling, sample survey that they do every 6 months or so.
Yeah, I don't think we've gotten the 2020 census numbers back yet, but
Right.
hopefully.
Yeah, probably means we'd see it in December.
Well, do y'all have any other questions? I'm going to go over more in the proposal in the next item when we do the discussion and consideration and possible action, so.
Okay. If not, we should probably move along.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. And then.
Raina, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your time. And if there are any further questions that pop up after we speak, just reach out.
Okay, and we're going to, in the next item, we're going to discuss over the proposal, because I included that on here as well. So I don't know if you want to just stay on, just in case there are any questions about the specifics on that.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
I'll stop sharing my screen, but I'm still on.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Where are they physically located?
Where is your office physically located for GIS planning?
Yeah, so we were founded, and our headquarters is in San Francisco, but we're kind of all over the place. I actually live right outside of Las Vegas. My boss lives near Tucson. One of our developers is north of Dallas. So we're kind of evenly distributed, I think, around the country.
All right.
Okay, so get into the pricing.
Okay, so I've included the proposal in here, sorry, let me get to it. You guys have a packet both of all of the different features that Brian just went over, and then we have the Navasota EDC proposal. Okay, thank you. So that's a recap of all of the different, options that are included, or the, features that are included that Brian had gone over, and then towards the back, okay, yeah, page 19. So what it is $5,000 for an annual subscription, and I actually, talked to Johnny about it, because when him and I met, with Brian about a month and a half ago, we had discussed doing a partnership between, the Chamber of Commerce and the EDC, and that's something that he does want to move forward with, so it would be going down to $2,500, because we'd be splitting the cost.
Oh, okay.
And I talked to him about that this week and confirmed it with him yesterday to be able to propose
How
it.
is this access? Will this be on the city's or the NEDC's website, or?
Yeah, I would go in and, I'd probably go look at what Giddings and Mahia and a few other cities are doing to see how I want to embed it, but that's something that we would be able to embed on the EDC website that I created a few months ago.
Yeah,
And then,
create a new one.
yeah,
So
no,
if Johnny participates, it'll be on one of ours, and then it'll be on the chambers.
we spoke to him, I mean, 'cause if we wanted to do it that way, it would be two separate licenses, but when I talked to Johnny about it, we, decided that we would keep it on the NEDC website. It would just be a partnership
Okay.
between us both, and then he can go in and, I'll go in and,
Both of you will have access to go in and
Yes.
update and
yeah.
do things.
Put our link on his website.
Yeah, and
Uh-huh.
he can link to it, and then he'll be able to share things, or, I mean, everybody's able to share things as well, but then, I'll be the one that goes in and updates all of the properties in Navasota, uploads all of those, and then Johnny can go in on his side and, update anything new properties for the county.
Mhm.
And then, I just wanted to bring this, to you guys, just because with all of the business recruitment that we've been doing lately, it just seems like it'd be, an incredible tool to help out with that, and then also how I'd mentioned that we're working with the retail coach on a possible new industry to come that would bring, probably around 100 jobs. I just thought, especially looking at like the workforce and talent base, to be able to, when we're in those negotiations and talking with this business, if they're having those questions, I could, 1, 2, 3, give them an answer on, okay, so what's within like a 20-mile radius for, and like I can look at a specific site and say, oh, well, we have this many people that are educated in this, or, and to give information instantaneously rather than, okay, well, let me call the BB Cog who can provide all this information and how long it'll take to get the report back.
Cost that much to gather the information.
Mhm, yeah, so I mean,
For 40 years, and usually when you got a client to inquire, like you said, you have to go to all these people to try to
Yeah.
get this information.
And wait for them to get it
Yeah.
together.
$5,000,
Well, and there's probably costs involved sometimes with
Right.
those resources.
right?
And then I like I really like the features too of being able to share it on social media and LinkedIn, because I've been using LinkedIn a lot lately to try
Yeah,
to
yeah.
connect with some developers and,
Yeah.
Retailers in different areas of Texas and surrounding areas,
They
so
seem to
then,
really be using that.
yeah,
It's
and
easy
so,
to implement, as he said it was, it's well worth the money.
I think so too.
Well, especially splitting it with the chamber.
Right.
Makes it even more.
And as EDC, we know where to concentrate on things too. We
Right.
need do something in this area, or
Mhm.
just education or whatever, I think we could,
And it's something we can all access to.
yeah,
Right.
I like
If
that.
we have some, a question,
Mhm.
somebody asks us a question.
yeah. And so, there's the two different options, but, there's the annual subscription for doing a 3-year term, so then the price stays the same for all 3 years. And then there's the annual subscription of doing the 1 year, and then after that, it's a 3% annual increase. I haven't, Johnny and I had just talked about going forward with the first year to kind of get a hold of things, figure out how to use the tool, and then kind of decide from there whether that's something that we still want to split the cost, or eventually if
I
or
think
not,
that's a good
so I
idea.
mean.
I don't know that we can really commit future
Yeah.
3
Yeah.
years.
So that's what I was
terms
thinking,
anyway.
it might be something where we
Yeah.
want to subscribe for 1 year and then
See how we
possibly after
utilize
that,
it, yeah.
They'll
can
hold,
come
they'll
back.
hold the price for us.
After that, we could come back and see, okay, well,
May get a
we really
rebate.
like it, we're utilizing the
Yeah,
tool,
discount.
then we could do a 3-year term after. So that was our thought behind that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, I move we go with the annual subscription with the GI, with the, what's it called?
Zoom Prospector.
Zoom Prospector,
Second.
Have a first and a second.
and with the chamber as a partner.
1-year subscription partner to
That's in
Grimes,
Yeah.
Grimes Chamber of Commerce.
Yep.
Any additional discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We'll try it out.
All right, thank you, Brian, I'll be in touch soon.
Thank you, Raina. Thank you, everyone.
All right.
Good. That's very impressive.
They really,
I know.
Impressive.
they really know their
As easy
stuff.
as he says
You
it.
said the chamber was gonna pay for part of it. I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
That just,
I was like.
that just did the deal.
deal.
Well, even at 5 though, was not,
Right.
No, it was
Yeah.
not.
I was gonna
As
be
much as they
afraid
have
of
to-
it'd be $10,000 or $15,000,
It's a lot of data.
Yeah. And I just like too, that I'll be able to go in and see on the back end of things of, okay, which sites are,
Relying on someone else. to
Yeah.
give you the information, you have it at your
yeah.
fingertips.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And I mean, especially now, once we start recruiting some bigger industries and if we're competing with
This is-
other, speed and having that information quickly is everything.
this is an excuse too for you were talking about revisiting some of those prospects that you hadn't heard back from.
Yep.
Say, hey, we just signed up with these folks,
Take a look at
here's
this.
another tool
Yeah.
that we'd
And
like
then-
to share with you.
To analyze.
And another thing too is when we've been working with some of these prospects, there'll be the communication back and forth and they'll be looking for, okay, well, what different options do you have? So then I go in and I have to compile all the information
Right,
on like
right.
different sites or different downtown buildings that might fit their needs. And that takes time to get all that together and send it. So, I mean, all I can do is I can just click on the ones that I think fit and export it as PDF and send it to them. And it's same thing with time, getting back to them.
How
really quickly.
long will it take for us to be up and running?
Up-
I don't
Implement all
know
this.
for sure, but I will ask him after this, because I want to get it done soon with some
Yeah.
of these that we're working on. Family has Retail Live coming up in September, so I'm hoping that we could get everything up and running by then. So when we do Retail Live, like you said, going to trade shows and stuff, getting the information.
Yeah, that was really neat. I liked it.
Yeah, and it wasn't cumbersome to look at, you know.
No, and it seemed really easy for
Yeah.
anyone to just go in and just
Yeah.
click a few things and,
And it's all mobile
Retreat.
friendly too, so I mean,
Yes.
if somebody's just looking on the, you'll have some busy business people wanting to just do it conveniently and to be able to access it.
Site selectors that are out on, you know, looking
Yeah.
at.
And then it's convenient on our end too, 'cause I can go, if I'm driving around town and I see that there's a listing that I hadn't known before, I can go take pictures and I can upload sites on my phone.
Well, when you're at those trade shows, you're talking to them, they're saying, well, we need this many acres. Oh, hold on just a second. Yeah, right here, we got it right here.
Instead of checking different places, it,
Or fumbling through
Yeah.
paper.
Yes.
I was impressed.
yeah.
Awesome.
All right.
Wow.
We'll move on to number 6, discussion of, the strategic plan.
So I know that we've talked about it back and forth, over the last few months because the city of Navasota did their strategic and implementation plan. And the NEDC has talked about putting something together, specifically too, because having a plan and having our goals and action items helps when it comes to funding, when we're looking at EDA funding for different infrastructure projects or, different projects that we can do through the EDA. So I went through and I looked at the city of Navasota's, the city council's strategic plan, and then I also have been talking back and forth with Madison from the Brazos Valley Council of Governments, because the BVCOG has a comprehensive economic development strategy, that encompasses a lot of the things that I felt were similar to the goals that have been expressed just from our conversations, in EDC meetings and previous projects that the EDC has done. So, I compiled all of it together to create the EDC, or Navasota EDC Economic Development Strategic Plan. So I guess we could just go through it. So, on page 3 and 4, we have the state of the city, which gives some, just a breakdown of information, our population pyramid, education, household income, number of households, median home value, median age, population size, and then, also broke it down by county level too. And then page 5 just gives a brief introduction of the purpose of the document. So it goes over looking at the city council, priorities, just, describing our vision and mission for the city, and then listing common priorities that are identified in the city's strategic plan and what we feel is the goals and roles of the EDC. And then from there, identifying main goals, examining strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and listing out different strategies, action steps, and then performance measurements for how to accurately achieve our goals and then measure them for years to come. So an introduction on page 6, that just gives a breakdown of the process that the city went through, and then also the BVCOG's economic development strategy document, and just kind of listing in there that we're kind of pulling from those two documents to help shape our vision, and then how we dive deeper into that. Page 7 gives the vision and mission statement for the city. And then page 8 and 9, those are, there were 5 areas of emphasis that were, that came out of the city council planning retreat, and I felt that 3 of them really tied into, what the goals and missions are for the Navasota EDC. So the first one was economic development, and so I listed out, some of the key strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities that were discussed, from that. The second one was image and communication. Same thing, I pulled out strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities that relate directly to, or that can have the opportunity to relate to the EDC, and then infrastructure. And then from there, I went on to, this is where I used, drawing from the City Council's planning retreat, looking at the BVCOG's comprehensive strategy, and then also just from looking at our previous budgets, what projects we've spent on, different topics that have been discussed in EDC meetings, to kind of come up with like a draft of 4 main goals for our organization. And then from that, on the pages after, it breaks down each goal, develops about 3 to 5 different strategies for each goal of how we can obtain that goal. And so then from each strategy, it breaks it down even further into action items of what specifically can we do to achieve the strategies and achieve that goal. And then there's a performance measures section for each goal also, so we can, at like the end of the year, end of the fiscal year, I can go through and review all these performance measures and give an update to the board of, okay, what did we do this year to achieve our goals? What are some that we need to work on? What are things that we want to prioritize on? So it gives us actual, we can measure how successful we are in achieving them. So I just came up with this as a draft, and like I said, with the goals, I developed those from the different documents and looking at what we've done in the past. So any feedback or changes, if you think that one of the goals isn't in line with our organization, I can take it out, I can add things, I can change things around. So I just wanted to come up with a draft for now for you guys to look over, and give feedback until we can start it as just a working document. And once we feel like we have something that's actually a representative of what you all feel the EDC's role and goals are, then that's when we can come back, bring it back and finalize it, and then from there we'll have a document, so when I move forward and look for funding opportunities, I can tie it back to our strategic plan. And that's kind of where I, with some of these goals, came a lot from the BVCOG's document, because they use their document when they seek out, EDA funding. So she was like Madison was helping me through this, saying to keep it vague, but have action items and strategies that are achievable, but try to keep your goals vague, so then you can tie it back to when you're applying for different funding opportunities.
Like, where would our grants fall under, like, that we give out for the, like, building improvements? I mean, it could fall under a couple of them, actually, under infrastructure, I guess, or goal 4, image.
Yeah, and goal 3, fostering economic development.
There we go, yeah, 3.
And, yeah, 'cause,
And that would be,
on 3, the first action item, it says promote and provide support on loan and grant opportunities that are available
There you go.
resources
Yeah,
for
okay.
local businesses.
All right. yeah, it says action.
And then also now with goal 3, the third action item, provide up-to-date demographic data, community
Yeah.
profile, and so we have retail coach, but then now we'll be implementing that, that'll help.
This is an excellent document.
Yeah, that's good.
It's not, you know, la-la land, it's, you know, it's not something you're gonna put on the shelf. I mean, you really can use it. It's really,
And I really liked, I was thankful to have Madison's help from the COG, because looking at their document, I thought having a section, I didn't even think about doing this before, but having a section on performance measurements, just so I can come back annually or on a semi-annual basis and give you guys updates on, okay, so for goal 1, here's what we achieved. And looking at like, or numbers of grants that we gave out, number of posts that we posted on LinkedIn or on the NEDC Facebook, number of, like, we can quantify it and we can stick it with each goal so we can see how we're doing over time, and kind of use it as a way to help us move forward of, okay, what do we need to focus more on, or what should we focus more on? So I thought the performance measures was a very good addition.
Good. We'll,
So,
yes,
I have,
take this with us, and then at a future meeting, anybody, or they can call you.
yeah, so I put on here, just a section for feedback and comments on each of the goals. And I also emailed y'all separately, there's a link that if you can go on and just fill out all this on like a Google survey. So if you're reading through the document and you have feedback on like goal 1, you can go in and type it and like the changes and edits that you want to make if you don't want to fill this out and give it to me. So then also, just touching on all of that, I just kind of wanted to bring this up in part of our discussion of it. So with goal 4, image and perception, so I know that we talked about it a while ago, about like creating the Facebook page. So I created a Facebook page, so we secured our Navasota EDC, our name and our page on Facebook, and I posted a few things just regarding, like sharing articles, I think from the Examiner that had posted about some businesses in town, and then also I think I shared some content from the SBA on funding, I think like the restaurant revitalization. So I haven't been posting very actively on there right now, because I wanted to talk to you all first, just to kind of get a feel on what types of content we want to post on that. And this is part of how it lines in with goal of image and perception of getting the EDC name out there and getting more exposure. And I've been getting daily, people are liking the page, so I think it's a great opportunity for us to share content. So I just didn't, so I had some ideas. I didn't know if we just wanted to, as part of our discussion, to go over, say, yes, no, you like those, you don't, add on. So I was thinking some possibilities of posting on there is reposting articles from the Examiner if they're celebrating certain businesses or talking about growth or anything.
Local stuff, yeah.
Yeah. Frequent, like any updates that we have to the EDC, Navasota EDC website, and when we add on like the GIS planning tools, being able to promote that content on there. Anything that relates to us from the BB Cogs Facebook page. Any articles or anything on success stories of businesses in town, events that are related to economic development or promoting local business, new businesses coming to town, new development, workforce development. I also put sharing content from the SBDC and SBA on available resources, funding opportunities. They have a lot of free business webinars, so occasionally going in and posting those for some of our local businesses that do follow the EDC page. Sharing content related to new tools available, such as, this is the one I wanted to ask, with the Business Improvement Grant, streamlined online application. I didn't know if you had wanted me to post that on there to start, so people start knowing that that's available, because I don't think, I have it posted on the website, and if people ask, I send them the link to it, but I think it'll be good to start getting some more of that out there, so we have people applying for the Business Improvement Grant.
Definitely.
Okay.
Lots of people look at that, and then we could all as members of EDC, if we're on Facebook, like I'm on there a lot, but some people aren't, but I could share it too and try to get more likes or more people to see it.
And then also, I didn't know, like, eventually, advertising available sites, I'm not 100% sure on that, because I know that we can share it from that GIS tool, but that could get iffy if it's not property owned by the city or owned by the EDC. So maybe eventually down the line, if that ever is, if we ever do have city property that becomes available, or if the EDC ever down the road wants to purchase property and develop it into like a business park or something and promote that. So I was iffy on that one, because it's not really applicable right now, but that's an option too. So, are there any other ideas of what we can start posting on?
Yeah, you can always post like, land sites that are available, maybe a new site that's become available.
But that,
and then you refer to a realtor, I guess, or something, or I don't know if you wanna get into that or not.
I don't know if you would.
because
Then you do one and you don't do the other.
Then you can pick and
And
choose.
Kind of a,
and if it's,
you don't wanna look like you're leaning towards anyone.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah,
But,
you could always just say, you can go to our site to see what's available.
or, eventually if we're looking at EDA, if we get EDA grants to help with, like, or if the EDC wants to go forward and do, like, infrastructure projects to help, like, develop a road or something to help spur economic development, then that's something that we could possibly do, advertising the available sites in that area, because that's,
when we did that money for that drainage, I think it would have been good,
yeah.
because I don't know how many times I've had to explain it to people.
Mhm.
And they're like, oh, what are they doing? I said, well, they're going from,
Yeah.
it's kind of one of those,
Parking lot's self-explanatory, but
yes, but when you
Yeah.
don't know what's going on underneath, it was a good plan.
I'd even have, do we have, or does EDC have a LinkedIn page, or
Well, we don't, but, I wanted
really have to, or?
I wanted to talk about that too, because I've looked at a few different EDCs that do have their own LinkedIn page, and they don't have a lot of followers. For the most part, it's a lot of just like the economic development, like directors or specialists or ED president, or like, people in the EDC that use their LinkedIn and to promote content. So some of even the bigger cities, I think, like I looked at Kyle, and they have a population of like 40-something thousand in their ED. LinkedIn, I think it only had a few hundred, but that's because their director is very active on Facebook, and she posts this type of stuff all the time, and that's what I've been trying to do, building my LinkedIn connection, and I've been sharing a lot of stuff about Navasota and articles.
If you're on LinkedIn as an individual.
Yeah, because I looked into and I just felt like if
I
you
think
did
that's the way that works.
I think so too. So I decided probably not with the LinkedIn
Yeah.
for the EDC, but Facebook is a good way to
Right.
do it, because,
And it's just easy.
Because it links
to look at it.
from LinkedIn.
yeah. And then also, I just wanted to bring this up, this is something that I'm gonna look into, and kind of connected also to the, strategic plan and getting the word out there about the EDC, and also just with business recruitment. I know that we're hitting heavily on, retail recruitment, which is great, but I thought like possibly at some point in the future, we can look into getting in like different, like just small advertisements in different, like trade and industry development, just to, get our name out there to other types of industries rather than just retail.
We've done that before.
And so, there's multiple that I've started looking into, so the Texas Site Selection Magazine, the Houston Business Journal, Business Expansion Journal, Texas Builder Magazine, Texas Realtors, Texas Real Estate, Texas Multifamily and Affordable Housing, Texas Real Estate Business, so, I just wanted to touch on that and let y'all know that I'm looking into it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you might look into all those, kinda come up with what you kinda recommend would be the most
Okay.
bang for the,
Because we've done it off and on over the years.
Yeah, and I know that Madison's been looking into, on her end,
The state did one, like an annual magazine or something, a couple of years ago.
I know that on Madison's end, she's been looking into some of these, but more focused on like the tourism side of things. So she's putting together some ideas also, like Texas events calendar, and there's a bunch of different ones that she's looking into. And we're working on getting everything updated on the Visit Navasota page. So then if we do that, we're just kind of like looking at doing it together, and just because them are hitting both sides of tourism and bringing in visitors, but then also looking on the business side of things, so.
Visit and stay.
Yep. So, I just wanted to give y'all an update on that, and I think that's all I had under the strategic plan side of things.
Okay.
We'll take this and look at it and make any
And so then,
recommendations.
so for that, then, what do y'all recommend then for the timeline to be? Just so, do we want to give it this next month, so within the next 3 weeks, you all can look it over and provide any feedback, and then I can bring it back to the board next month for approval?
I don't think
That-
so.
That way we don't keep putting it off, so then we can start
Have
looking
an
at
agenda
funding.
item
Yeah,
next meeting.
okay. And then, so then let me just determine, because our next meeting will be on the 18th. So, we could say then I'll have all feedback into me by, August, oh wait, no, because I'd have to final, would be August 9th be okay? That Monday, just because I'll have to finalize the agenda by Friday.
That'd be fine.
And then it gives me a few days to adjust any of the feedback that I've received.
So August 9th,
Mhm.
it's a Monday?
Yes. So just any feedback you have, you can send it to me, you can email it, you can fill out that Google form, or if you even want to bring in this sheet and write your comments on it, just make sure you have it to me by August 9th, so then I can make the edits. And then I'll send out an email about that too, just so, for the board members who aren't here, and then I'll also share the link again.
So the next EDC meeting is,
On the 18th.
18th. She wants the 9th, any recommendations you have on the plan, where she can have it ready by the 18th. All right, should be in your package, some minutes of the June 16th meeting. Do that. Motion on those.
I'll move they be approved.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a person and a.
Well, I wasn't here, so.
I wasn't either.
Accept the minutes. Without any errors
better be
or
right.
corrections. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Now, Ranger's report.
So I already gave y'all a lot of my updates, but, so over the last month since we last talked, I've been in touch with the communities as a startup representatives from the Corpus Christi. So what they've done is they provided us with a one-page PDF. They gave us 2 different versions so we can start recruiting core team members. I haven't had the opportunity to start reaching out to our core group, but now that I've received this, this PDF, I think that'll give everybody, when I'm recruiting, just, a background on what the project is and kind of just, and I also wanted to see if maybe, some of us wanted to reach out instead of me just reaching out to everybody. That way it doesn't look, because I know one of our priorities is not wanting to look like it's specifically a city thing, because we want as much, participation, and we want it to be as useful as a project as we can get out of it. So I didn't know, like, I'll reach out to Johnny and see if for some of the chamber members, or the core team members that we discussed, those that are chamber members or on the chamber board, maybe he can reach out to them and start recruiting them, and I can reach out to the contacts that I'm familiar with, and if there's a few on there that maybe I don't really know that well, I can reach out to one of you to help with that. So then that way it looks like it's a community-wide project rather than just being a city thing.
Just maybe kind of give us some hints on things to say.
Okay.
To include in the conversation.
Perfect. And then, I'll send you guys these as PDFs too, because then you can also share this with anybody when it's recruiting. And then.
When are they kicking it off? Is there any indication?
We haven't picked a date yet. I'll reach out to them and let them know that we'll start working on recruitment and then see when we want to get started on that.
You can tell these people it's not some kind of long-term commitment to some board or anything. This has a sunset, so I mean, it's.
So I'll reach out to them on that to see when we would want to do a start date. And then I'll get with you with all of y'all on our list of possible board members that we had discussed, and so we can start reaching out.
Time commitment, you know,
Yeah,
things like that, to be able to tell them.
And then, so I'm not sure if y'all are aware, but tomorrow is the Realtors and Developers Breakfast, tomorrow morning, and that's hosted by the Chamber of Commerce. I'm doing the first presentation in the morning, so I'm working on my PowerPoint today. If there's anything that y'all just have any feedback on, things to add that.
Where will it be?
It will be at the Navasota Center. So, I'm plan on talking about population growth and trends, demographics, just charts and graphics, ongoing and completed projects, so I'll probably be looking over the last year, so 2020 to 2021, upcoming and planned projects, infrastructure updates, so capital improvement plan, the sidewalk and drainage projects, the EDC parking lot project. Then we're able to pull numbers too on Lupe's end of things, looking at number of permits that have been filed, total investment, construction costs. Then I can look at traffic counts, see trends on that, and then I think I'm going to touch too briefly on different events that have been going on, whether it be from school, NISD, and all of their tournaments that they've been hosting, city events, different events that have been hosted by the downtown merchants and the Chamber of Commerce. That will be tomorrow morning. And then lastly, I wanted to let y'all know, I had already mentioned it, but I'll be attending Retail Live on September 2nd, and that's in Austin. And then I also have the Texas Economic Development Council Annual Conference, that's in early October, and then the Basic Economic Development Conference in late October. And so I'll come back with updates from all of those conferences, but if any of you are interested in attending, just let me know and I can get all that figured out. But that's all I have for now.
All right, that's all. I need to say.
Yes.
Yee.
Yeah, this is a long one today.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you for all you.
Is there an amount of people they want for this? Or is-
I think
I mean, I know it's kinda unlimited, but do you have a goal as to?
let me, I just had the paper. I think we had a list of,
Yeah, you'd scribbled down some names, I think.
yeah, I think they had said like a list of like between 10 to 15 like core team members.
Yeah.
But then and then from that, like sending it out to,
Mhm.
I mean, just getting a whole bunch of people involved, like different business owners and different community representatives, but having that core team to where these will be like the 10 to 15 people that are attending every meeting and kind of being like helping with the facilitation with the facilitators, like kind of starting those conversations, but then getting a lot of different, I don't know though the total target number, so I can ask.
That's fine, I was just kind of, so do you wanna hand this out, or how do you want us to recruit people?
I
Because
think,
don't you think we might need to say, come to a meeting and see what it's all about? I mean, or
yeah, maybe we could,
might,
I'll reach out to them and see what they've done in the past for recruiting. That's
Yeah.
kind of why I didn't really know
mhm,
how to approach it.
yeah,
I asked them if they could give us, like, make a one-pager so I can, because some of these people on the list aren't on the EDC, so they're not gonna know what it's about. And so it might be something where we invite
invite,
our core team to do like a Zoom meeting, something convenient to where everybody can
Mhm.
attend, and have the Russell and John on there to talk about the program. And
should we do a presentation at like a chamber mixer or something to where you're including, is it gonna be for the whole, it is for the whole county, isn't it, or is it just Navasota? Do we?
I didn't know if we decided what we
I
wanted
don't,
to do.
okay, that's fine, I was just,
Yeah, I'll reach out to them and get an idea, just because it's been kind of murky for me and I haven't really been sure.
yeah.
So that's why I asked them, like, can you give me a one-pager? Because if
Mhm.
we're gonna be recruiting the core team,
Yeah.
they're gonna need to have familiarity of what's on. So I will.
Well, there's no timeline, no,
Right.
I don't think.
Yeah, no,
Deadline.
once we get started, it's about a year process.
Yeah, so it's
Oh,
not,
okay.
Meeting like once every two,
Mhm.
right, it's not and then it does have an end.
yeah. Yes.
It does have it, yes.
Yes.
I have a question. These are handed out, these reports are handed out, but we never discuss them. And I don't understand them, so at the next meeting, could we spend some time
Yeah.
on whether or not we're financially okay?
Yep.
You could make it an item on the agenda.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Financial report, yeah. Make Lance have to say something. Because he could tell us, kinda how much money's coming in, and
Yeah.
how much is going out.
No, we defaulted on our bond.
Oh, God.
All right, are we adjourned?
I guess we're adjourned. Thank you, Raymond.
All